Hello everyone, and welcome to a look at the new update for Gregtech New Horizons. Version 2.3.0 has been released on the CurseForge and Technic platforms, as well as Multi-MC and the Prism launcher. There are so many changes in this update, I can't possibly cover them all here, but the full changelog will be linked in the description. So the first change comes in the form of a new Java version which has been supported, Java 17 or 19 with potentially Java 20 support in the near future. As you know, GTNH runs on Minecraft version 1.7.10, which was released almost 10 years ago, way back in 2014, and this traditionally uses the older Java 8 version. This one had some issues and caused the game to run very poorly after a while, with memory usage accumulating over time and poor performance in garbage collection, especially if you were in multiple dimensions or worlds with the game open for a long time. Yeah, the chunk loading was slow and terrain generation. The game would often stutter frequently as it tried to empty RAM. If you've played any 1.7 then you'll understand what I mean here. However, with the new Java support and thanks to the developer Raven for all of her hard work, the new Java versions promise huge benefits in memory optimization, and it's going to allow you for a much smoother experience overall, more in line with the more recent versions of the vanilla game. I'm definitely not a developer, but in the limited amount of time I've spent with the new version on Java 20, I can definitely feel a difference. Everything from terrain generation to all of those stutters, I wouldn't say they're completely gone, because this is still Minecraft. There is still some limitations with the game, just the way it's built in general. But yeah, significant improvements to RAM usage. Really, it cannot be understated just how great of a change this is for New Horizons. In theory, TPS or ticks per second should also improve. And due to all the optimizations, FPS should also be improved. I believe they've also implemented new ways of texture loading and stitching, more similar to the way that the modern versions of Minecraft handle that sort of stuff. The usage of the newer Java 17 and 19 also future-proofs the game, since as I understand it, the Java 8 version won't be supported forever, and the GTNH takes a lifetime to complete, so there's that, I guess. These new Java versions of the game can only be run through the Prism launcher or the Multi-MC launcher. This is, I believe, due to the fact that GTNH uses a lot of custom mods and custom versions of different mods, so it's not as easy for them to list those on Curse as quickly as their own platforms. Raven has told me though that you can play a Java 19 server on a Java 8 client on version 2.3, and vice versa, so they are compatible with each other. You can still enjoy the new features on 2.3 no matter where you choose to download. And honestly, now is a great time to get into the game. Notoriously, there are always issues with new updates, but from what it seems like, this one is pretty stable, which is very, very nice, very good to see. But yeah, overall this change is just awesome. And thank you again, Raven, for managing to do this. We also have some new multi-blocks in the game. These are, to be fair, mostly for the later parts of New Horizons, but super cool nonetheless. There is the new Mega Alloy Blast Smelter, the bigger and better, probably infinitely more expensive version of the GT++ Alloy Blast Smelter, which I did actually recently craft in my Let's Play series. The baby one. Not only does this look awesome, but apparently can do 256 recipes in parallel. That is pretty awesome. The Industrial Apicultural Acclimatize and Drone Domestication Station, also known as the Mega Apiary. This is a huge multi-block capable of holding and automating forestry bees, which if you're not aware have been expanded in GTNH. There is a vast amount of content here, and you're capable eventually of producing hundreds of material as you progress through the Gregtech tiers. This new Mega Apiary seems to be at the tippy top, and for a price will allow you to make the most out of your bees. The Extreme Industrial Greenhouse, allowing you to farm IC2 crops very quickly, and the Extreme Extermination Chamber for farming mobs, were also similar multi-blocks released a few versions ago. It's nice to see the developers giving you lag-free ways to make what is very necessary but also often quite laggy processes within Minecraft. And that seems to be a theme here through the next few multi-blocks. Next we got the Space Elevator, available in the late UV tier. And this thing, from what I can tell, can house multiple elevator modules, and apparently can allow you to teleport to different planets. That's a very big one. Pump gases and fluids found on other planets, and also mine other planets remotely. It seems like you have to provide this thing with plasma and fuel for it to function. Yeah, this thing looks super powerful. Also very expensive, as is the case with most of the things I'm showing you here. But the devs have put a lot of work into implementing all this stuff, so I thought I would show it off here. Maybe some of you guys see this and want to try it out for yourselves. Do you dare start GTNH? Other multi-blocks include the component assembly line used for making things like motors and pumps in crazy quantities, as well as the advanced assembly line for circuits, the PCB factory for circuit boards, and all of these give you lightning fast overclocks and efficiency. Again, bringing it in line with making your factory more efficient as you need more machines, and hopefully more performant in the late game. And to make those circuit boards, we have a new nanite material, made in the brand new Nano Forge. And then finally, the Quantum Force Transformer. This allows you to do complex chemical chains required earlier in the game, like for example the Platline, Naquada chains, plastics, stem cells, Kevlar and glue, just to name a few. And the QFT allows you to do all of that in a single process. That sounds epic. Again, this is not cheap and there's a lot of specific details and other interlinked mechanics and infrastructure you need for all this. Things which are way too in-depth for an overview video like this. But seeing all of this implemented is just mind-blowing. And honestly, I hope one day I can make some of this stuff. However, perhaps the most insane thing to come out of this update is the so-called Eye of Harmony. And just taking one look at a recipe for this thing, there's probably only going to be a handful of people who ever manage to achieve this. That is not happening. But if we check out the preview here that the developer gave, I mean, look at this. It allows you to make like a microspace environment. And it's some sort of resource generation method. Honestly, the tooltip for this thing is just insane, but that is kind of the theme of late game Gregtech New Horizons, right? Colin, what have you implemented here? What have you built? In the last of the super late game changes, there's also been the introduction of the UXV parts and magneto-hydrodynamically constrained star matter, if I'm saying that correctly. And of course they nerfed Stargate, meaning that it's more difficult to craft at this point. And from what I hear from some of the developers, it's uncraftable now in Applied Energistics. The craft is now so large that AE cannot calculate, so who knows if that thing is even possible now in 2.3. There is also a new tier of optical circuit, and also a new chemical line for water processing. However, back down here on Earth, where all of us play, we also have some interesting new UI changes, which for all of us who have been playing for a long time, I have a feeling it's going to take us some time to get used to. But this is a new mod introduced to backport some of the features from 1.12. Just scrolling through some of the recipes, we now have things like the machine on the side, which is more similar to 1.12, the way 1.12 handles things. There's also the machine tier listed in the recipes. And then most notably on the mixer, there is this new radial animation. Before it used to be linear, where it would go left to right. It's just tiny little updates and improvements like that. And then also on things with fluids, it's now much more readable in my opinion. Again, comparing the old one to the new one, you can spot some of the differences here. Machine UIs also look a little different. We now have a new power switch and also a spot for integrated circuits, which has been moved to the bottom side. There is a void excess toggle within the UI, input separation, a new batching mode, which I'm super excited about, and definitely not available for every machine, like the blast furnace obviously doesn't have a batch mode. And there's also the ability to lock the recipe within the UI. Again, not available for the blast furnace. It is, however, available in things like the processing array, which in addition to the previous features also allows you to down tier, similar to Community Edition in 1.12 of Gregtech. But this batch mode here, there's a little math to it. In short though, it will run multiple recipes at once in a batch. This should prevent the machine from having to check the game to see if there's valid inputs for a given recipe as frequently, and therefore in theory improve your TPS. Additionally, we have some changes to Applied Energistics. The extra cells mod is now being planned to be phased out, and we now have the new 82 fluid crafting mod, which adds things like fluid storage cells, a wireless fluid terminal, 82 fluid storage and conversion monitors, fluid storage bus and the fluid level emitter, which were available before but very laggy with extra cells. Seemingly these versions are now usable, which is awesome. It gives us a lot more functionality similar to 1.12. There's also been the import and export buses. The next 4 blocks here are for fluid auto crafting, similar to the features in Applied Energistics 1.18 and above. And then perhaps my favourite is the dual interface. I haven't had a chance to use this thing yet, but this thing acts as a fluid and also item interface in a single block. All of this stuff is awesome for Applied Energistics and automation, and again continues the theme of optimizations for the pack. Additionally, we have some wireless redstone technology, the redstone transmitters and receivers, the wireless fluid detector covers, item detector covers, and needs maintenance covers. Any of these can be placed on a Gregtech machine hatch or bus, and you can send the wireless redstone signal anywhere. The advanced versions also come with a bunch of different gates here, allowing you to do complex compact redstone to control all of your machinery. I have had a chance to use some of this tech in my Let's Play series, and it is really cool. In addition, we have some quest book changes, lots of little minor tweaks here, along with a new chapter storing and transforming EU, outlining different quests for tiers of battery and power storage. Probably the most notable change here is we also now have TPV, and this replaces our beloved tungsten steel coils. They no longer exist in GTNH. Dreammaster, how could you do this? The best looking coil and it's removed. So what is its replacement? Well, you certainly can't miss it, that is for sure. So this coil is TPV alloy, vanadium, platinum and titanium, and you now need this tier of coil to smelt tungsten steel. This does have other implications for around the EV tier, and in 2.3.0 they also nerfed the tier 2 rocket, meaning that it's much more difficult to craft this thing now since the rocket control computer takes a field generator. Fortunately though, they did add automatic conversion between tungsten steel coils and TPV alloy, so any tungsten steel coils in existing worlds will be automatically converted to this. And same with all of the extra cells components that you had previously in your world, they should automatically be converted to 82 fluid crafting. And at the very least there is easy conversion recipes between the two mod items. There's also some Thaumcraft additions and things in the works, including the Infusion Matrix Alpha, which is not fully implemented yet, but this will be interesting to see. Apparently it's more easy to automate. Some very tiny but notable changes is we now have a straight foil recipe from the ingot. It's been changed from a 2-step process to a 1-step process. There has been various balance updates and adjustments. Wayla will now show all of the covers you have attached to the machine you're looking at. We have a new ME output bus and hatch, allowing you to directly output to your AE system. Thaumcraft will now show you the parent research. There's now a handful of new SMD circuit components to craft. Durability on the Project Red screwdriver has been completely removed. This is awesome. The Draconic armors have been given hazmat protection and V discount. You can remove warp a little easier with the new Thaumcraft soaps. There is now a hyper acceleration card for Applied Energistics. The Lapitronic supercapacitor, a multi-block battery, can now be built up to a maximum height of 50, up from 18, effectively allowing you to store an almost infinite amount of power. You can now simply right-click to apply tape to maintenance hatches. There is now a staff of teleportation, infinite RF, and you can teleport pretty much anywhere, including to travel anchors. There is a new fluid added called Ruby Juice, which can give you a lot of chrome output, useful for getting your stainless steel in MV and HV. All of your backpacks now have this nifty little sound. You can now disable AoE on Tinker's construct tools by using Shift. And then just scrolling through some of the condensed changelog here, there is lots and lots of stuff in this update. Yeah, the tier 2 rocket now requires LUV circuits, and several changes to the EV progression overall. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out over time. The rocket parts now have assembler recipes. Yeah, there's lots and lots of different stuff in here. Creative Essentia Cell now is craftable. There's also large co-processing units. And the final 4,000 lines of commit history, there's a lot for 2.3. Many of the things I couldn't cover, and I probably missed one or two of the important ones. Things which you really only start to notice once you play the pack. Yeah, look at this. This goes on forever. So it's really awesome to see a pack after 8 years. There's now been 8 years of Gregtech New Horizons. It's still receiving full support. And yeah, if you were considering GTNH, now is a good time to get into the game. Beware though, it is a very difficult pack to play, and is a significant time investment, but also a very rewarding one. And especially with all the new changes, particularly the Java versions, I'm very excited about that. I think it's one that can give you an experience like no other. Overall, I think the 2.3 update added a lot of things that I've been waiting a long time for. It's going to be interesting to see the new meta and all the other things we discover here, especially with the balance changes and all of the things that entails. But yeah, that concludes the update for 2.3. Let me know how you guys are enjoying this version. I hope that you found this informative. Perhaps consider checking out my Let's Play series to see some of these things in action. I am still very far from the end of the pack though, and from a lot of the stuff that you've seen today. I'm sure there's a lot of things I'll discover over time after playing for a while. So from me for now, thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope to see you all in the next video.